How's it going, guys? And welcome to our spectacular knife weekend. Right now, we are going to sit down and look at 5 of the hottest ProTech knives that you can get right now. And we've got Dave Wattenberg, the man himself. How's it going, Dave?
Hey, Zach. Great. How are you?
Dude, so good. It's good to at least see you, even if we're not in the same room.
Yes. I'm missing you in person, but this will do for sure.
This will do. So, out of these 5 hot knives that we have, I'm going to just start with the one I know everybody wants to see, and that is another operator knife from you guys. So tell us a little bit about this thing.
Yeah, so years ago, we had a special group of knives that we did for an elite unit, some operators, in fact. And ever since then, we've tried to come up with a way that we could have these, in a commercial setting where, other folks could get a hold of it. We've partnered with a company that's handling the tritium vials for us. That's a fully NRC, Nuclear Regulatory Commission approved processor. So it's a really neat knife, and all black, sterile, tritium push button. We're going to take this operator series and push it through different models. We started with the SNG Strider, now the TR3s. You'll see some TR4s, Godfathers, Godsons, eventually, through the line.
Cool. Any SBRs in the works there?
We may have to sneak that one in too.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I've been carrying that SBR you gave me at SHOT a lot, and I love it more and more every day. So I'm glad to hear maybe I could get an operator one.
Great knife. Yeah, we have a new production run of SBRs that we're in process on now. Those should start back in stock pretty soon.
Cool. Yeah, and then for you guys at home, if you haven't seen like a regular ProTech, and this isn't necessarily a regular one, but we're going to get to this one too. But you can see just on the blade profiling there at home, you guys can see how this operator one differs in many ways, but no signposting on the blade, which is pretty cool. So anyways.
Yeah, one
really
of my favorite things about that operator series, a number of people have mentioned that when you pick it up and you push the button, you feel the snap, it's a ProTech. You don't necessarily need to see the name on there at all, which is a really cool byproduct of the operator series. And the TR3 and these other knives that we're putting it on, inflicting that treatment to, they're pretty recognizable. It makes me really happy that when people see it, they already know it's a TR3.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the symbol of great design, right? Is that you know what it is without the logo on it, right? And that's ProTech has it in spades for sure.
Love it.
Now, kind of going outside of the realm of autos, though, but a knife that has been hugely popular lately, we got some Malibus that are going to be dropping here real soon.
Yeah, the Malibu is a knife that we introduced at the SHOT Show with some prototypes, some hand-ground pieces, and just now the first production run is flowing through a Warncliffe-style blade as well as the reverse Tonto, which you guys have coming up next. And it's such a great EDC size. It's got 20 CV for blade steel. It runs on bearings, and we've got this really finely tuned detent. It flips just like a dream, and they kind of have this fidget factor / EDC thing all in one. It's a great knife, and we're really excited to have a knife do so well that doesn't have a spring in it, a little outside of our norm, and crazy we can actually carry it here in California, maybe even in Malibu.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the detent and the fidget factor, that's like you nailed it. Like the button lock is super sweet, but the way that it opens, closes, drop shuts, I mean, everything about this knife, you just want to play with it all day.
Yep, even for the folks who work here in the building, when you walk by a tray of them, you can't help but pick one up and snap it open and closed a couple of times. You can't help yourself.
Yeah, no, you really have to feel it to know just how spot on it is. So really great one. We actually had a couple of them come in stock, and before I even had a chance to go look at them, they'd all sold out. And so we've got more on the way. Hopefully Dave keeps pumping them out so we can get more out to you guys.
We're working hard on it.
Now next up, kind of the one I teased a little earlier with that operator one. So this is a TR3, TR5. But a little bit of an interesting design on this. I think the what you said with the operator is like you look at the operator, it doesn't have ProTech billboarded anywhere, but it's a ProTech. When I look at this knife, I don't immediately think ProTech. So talk to me about this knife a little bit.
So this is a neat limited edition. This is a TR5 that's received this kind of Bruchaw overall, limited edition thing. So it's got the Bruchaw design sterling silver skull inlaid in the center of the handle, and then it's print anodized with this really awesome bricks and barbed wire thing, and it's basically an anodized version of a hand engraved knife that he did for us years ago. And so on the backside, actually really small, worked right into the barbed wire, it says Bruchaw. It's actually got his signature snuck right in there. And so as close as we work with Bruchaw on hand engraved knives, this gets somebody a very Bruchaw custom piece at a very friendly price point.
Yeah, and then this one also comes in S35 VN, is that correct? Blade steel on this?
Correct, yeah, S35, secondary slide safety. It's got the two-tone hardened 416 glass breaker at the back end, deep carry pocket clip, all the stuff that makes a TR5 a great knife. And then on top of it, all this Bruchaw artwork and customization with the skull and the print anodized. Really neat piece.
Yeah, for sure. And I can definitely appreciate this piece for, obviously Bruchaw, all the amazing work he does and stuff. It's a little outside my wheelhouse, but I still love it. I still love it because it's a ProTech.
Thank you. Well said. I may make a t-shirt.
Yeah, there we go. I like it. All right, now next up we have the normal Godson. In a beautiful. I like this blue hue you have going there, reminiscent of other blues.
Yeah, it's a good color for you guys.
And then, but recently you've released these with leather inlays in them, which I think is really cool.
Yeah,
they come with the lanyard as well.
First time ever. So we made friends with this super cool guy, Greg Stevens, from Greg Stevens Designs. He does neat watch bands and all kinds of amazing leather work. And he and I were at a knife show, and as tends to happen when guys like us get together, he's got this cool leather and we've got these knives, and next thing you know, we're making a thing. And so this is a really neat, we take a Godson, which is a knife we've made, I want to say about 16, 17 years. And you'd think if there was something to do to it, we would have done it already. And here there's a brand new variation of it after all these years, first time with leather. And since we were tinkering around with it, we also added that lanyard pass-through, which even the ability to put a lanyard in it, which a lot of the Godsons don't have. And then we also put a deep carry pocket clip on it. So a couple of new things on an older model. And that's the fun part of what we do is we don't like to sit still and just make the same thing over and over again. We're constantly trying to come up with something cool and new for you guys.
Yeah, and this is definitely cool and new. I think generally you don't see leather inlays very often on knives. So it's not just that it's cool and unique for the Godson. This is cool and unique knife in general, right? Like it's not an accident that you get often, right?
And even the way this Greg Stevens, like this particular, the one you're holding in your hand, is vintage Swiss leather from some military leather, previously, I don't know, recycled or repurposed or whatever. So it has this cool vintage Swiss military origin, and now we've made it new again, putting it on the knife. You've got a guy in Utah handcrafting leather. You've got us in California making the knife. It all comes together, and you've got something very unique.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't know he's a Utah boy.
Yeah, sure enough.
Huh. Well, we might have to go to his shop and see what he's up to.
Absolutely. You'll end up with a watch, I promise.
Oh yeah, well then maybe we shouldn't go. I mean, the knives already, it's expensive enough. I hear watches are worse. All right, and then the last knife we have on the table, the only one that we had here in stock right now of BR1 Magic is the combo blade. But we did have a few of the regular ones. Do we have more on the way? Do you have maybe?
Definitely more on the way in the
next
the next week or two. I think the next round of them are stonewash blades, smooth edge, and the BR1's such a great knife. Whiskers, Mike Whiskers Allen, the designer of that knife, he and I go back. I've known that guy more than half my life. Before the ProTech days, when I was buying and selling custom knives, I was buying and selling Mike Whiskers Allen's custom pieces. And then here we are 27, 28 years later, and we're building this knife of his design. It's fantastic, and we're super proud of it.
Cool. Well, and that's actually the reason that I grabbed the BR1 in general is speaking of building beautiful knives, we have a custom version of the BR1 right now. And I know you and Jamie kind of talked about what knives put on the table and stuff before this goes. I think you guys chose this one on purpose to tempt me. Because I'm not tempted by custom knives. There's only two kind of like high-end, real high-end custom style knives I've ever been tempted about, and this is one of them. Talk us through this. This is just beautiful, and we can't have ProTech on the table without having at least something that shows this custom work you guys do.
For sure. We build a ton of knives that are, at Blade HQ available from, say, I don't know, $120 to a couple $100. A lot of really great knives, that are pretty reasonable in reach for a lot of folks. This, of course, our investor collector type category. There's a lot going on a knife like this. There's a lot of titanium. So the frame is titanium. The bolster's titanium. There's even a separate little backspacer piece that's titanium. The pocket clip is 3D machined titanium, and that's just the components. Now you've got the Chad Nichols virus pattern Damascus blade. You've got all this extensive Bruchsal engraving, really a special piece, an heirloom quality knife, something like this, between the art and science and knife making and everything that goes into it, it's really very special.
It really is. One thing that I never noticed when you had mentioned the pocket clip on this thing is it's pretty thick. It's a really substantial, there's a lot of material on it.
It is. It starts out as a solid bar of titanium, and we 3D machine it. To my knowledge, it's the only 3D machined deep carry titanium clip around. It's about a 42-minute cycle time just to make that pocket clip. And then even though it's a little hard to see in this video like this, the black lip pearl on that knife is outrageous. We were able to find some, presentation grade pearl pieces, and that's something you turn it in the light and it catches so much color and fire, just extraordinary.
It really is. So how many man hours go into just one of these knives? How many man hours go into just one of these? Rough estimate.
A lot. And one of the things that's fascinating about it is the time frame. Someone will say, how long does it take to make a knife like that? And if you add up the time it takes to order the Damascus and have Chad Nichols forge it by hand, the machining of those components, hours for the frame, the bolster, almost an hour for the pocket clip by itself, then all the hand sanding, polishing, sourcing the pearl. And I'll tell you what, when we machine that black lip pearl, everybody out in the shop is on pins and needles. And if you hear grown men cry all the way from Artesia, California, it's because one of those pieces broke in the process.
Right.
And so you've got all that, and then you get everything machined, everything together, finished perfectly. Then you take it apart, send it to Bruchsal, and now he's engraving by hand, send it back, build it again that last time. And so that whole cycle, that whole process of creation is almost about a year and a half. If you add in the machining, sourcing the materials, waiting for the engraver, building at that final time. So about a year and a half to make a knife like that.
That's incredible. And that's the thing is I definitely fall in this camp of it's hard for me. I love knives as tools so much, right? That I have no problem looking at a tool like this and just being like, yeah, no, I'd put that on the shelf, right? But then when you really look at, and you're talking, a year and a half to create a knife like this, like that level of specialness, it's next level, right? Like, regular runtime on a knife, you're doing a few hours, and yeah.
Right. Yeah, and there are folks who will carry a knife like this, and it's aerospace grade titanium, stainless Damascus. You certainly could carry it. Maybe only special occasions, but you certainly could. And it is such a neat thing that we're able to do. Like the BR1 you had in your hand a minute ago is an aluminum everyday carry type range. A couple $100, you get up into this one, you're into a couple thousand. And so it's one of the fun things about the way we attack knife making is that we like to build that range, and it keeps it interesting for us and for our customers, and we sure do enjoy being able to produce at that level.
For sure. Well, and again, I say it when you're not on camera, so the audience knows I'm not just saying this because you're here. but it really shows across all of ProTech's line. I mean, just like you mentioned with the operator, like the second you fire, it's a ProTech. Like there's no questions. Even with the Malibu, like you play with that Malibu and you find it's ProTech, and you're like, oh yeah, no, 100%, of course it's a ProTech, right? Cool. Well, so really neat knives for the summer 2020 right now. Some really cool stuff to get. You guys can go, with the lower end all the way up to this custom. Please, somebody buy this custom because it is tempting me so bad. But I would have to sell a motorcycle to buy it, and I just don't know if I can do that to myself. Somebody buy it. Now, Dave, since we have you on, what do you got in your pocket today?
Oh, I have been carrying one of the new Malibus. Just to get used to the flipper, and since it is a full-size ProTech that's legal in California, I've grown quite comfortable with it. It's such a great size, and the blade geometry on both the Tonto and the Wharncliffe, it's got a real high main grind, so they're super slicey. It's a great knife. I say the Malibu for the win. Cool.
Right on. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. And thank you guys for following along. We'll catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching that video. Make sure to check out our Spectacular Knife Weekend playlist here on YouTube. We're sitting down with some of your favorite makers and manufacturers. You can get all your knife needs at bladehq.com. Hit subscribe for more awesome knife content, and we'll catch you on the next one.